My next guest is trying to repeal Proposition 209, wants to put a measure so voters can vote to repeal Proposition 209, even though voters voted to get rid of race and gender-based preferences in 1998. State Senator Ed Hernandez, Dr. Ed Hernandez, West Covina, grew up in La Puente, attended local schools, graduated with a degree in biology from Cal State Fullerton. And his argument is that Proposition 209, by ignoring stats, is promoting continued racial disparities in our educational system. And he said, and I'm quoting, "You cannot address inequality by refusing to acknowledge it, so I'm very happy to see this legislation moving forward." Please welcome to the show California State Senator Dr. Ed Hernandez. Dr. Hernandez, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the invitation.
Doctor, voters got rid of the use of race and gender. Why are you interested in bringing it back?
Well, I mean, obviously in 1996, when it was passed by the voters, it was put into our Constitution. And if you look at the numbers before Proposition 209 and the number of minorities or underrepresented in our UC, CSU, and community college system, it is dramatically decreased now. So what we need to do is to look at and at least allow the voters to make that decision if they want to have this discussion. If the voters speak again and say no, I get it. I understand that. But what I'm looking for is to make sure that every qualified student of all races has the exact same opportunity to allow the UCs, but in particular the flagship schools, to go after the best and the brightest of all races.
I'm speaking with State Senator Dr. Ed Hernandez, who would like to repeal Proposition 209. You mentioned that after 209 went into effect, the numbers of blacks and Hispanics declined, and that's true. The numbers, however, of Asian students at the most competitive campuses at UC Berkeley and UCLA increase. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, I commend them for increasing.
But they're minorities, aren't they?
But not all Asians have increased. If you look at Filipinos, if you look at the Hmong community. So what I'm looking for is all subsets of every segment of every population
but
should
Doctor,
have the exact same opportunity.
After 209 passed, the percentage of Asians at the campuses at UCLA and UC Berkeley went up substantially. It turns out that Asian kids were being shafted in favor of lesser qualified black and brown kids. And these black and brown kids ended up going, Dr. Hernandez, not AWOL. They went to a lesser demanding school at the UC system at UC Berkeley, UC Irvine. So the overall numbers of black and brown kids at UC system before and after 209 were the same.
Well, here's what I'm proposing. I am not proposing quotas at all. I am not proposing preferential treatment, and the courts have very clearly said that.
Of course you are, Senator.
Let me finish, please. Let me finish. What I'm proposing is to allow the UCs to go after the best and the brightest. If these kids, whether they're African American or whether they're Latino, whether they're Hmong or Filipino, can compete, then recruit them. If you look at the private schools, the UCs, the Stanfords of the world, the Yale, they are going after the best and the brightest, and they're attracting them to those institutions. The kids that are trying to get into the UCs aren't able to compete because they're not allowed to go after them because of Proposition 209. So I'm asking, let them go after the absolute best and the brightest.
There is a professor at UCLA named Richard Sander. Are you familiar with him, Doctor?
No, I'm not. Sorry.
He teaches law and economics. And he did a paper, and it's in the Atlantic Monthly, called The Painful Truth About Affirmative Action. Let me just read you a little bit of things he's come up with. Black college freshmen who got into UCLA under affirmative action, they were twice as likely to abandon their field of science or engineering compared to white people. Blacks who entered the college thinking that they wanted to pursue a doctorate were 3 times more likely to abandon the process compared to the white kids. Half of the black college students entering ranked in the bottom 20% of their class. The black students were 4 times more likely to fail the bar exam, the ones that ultimately went on to school, and on and on and on. Turns out the graduation rate for the kids that were admitted under what was called special criteria, Senator, were graduating at a 40% rate as opposed to the Asian kids that were graduating almost at an 80% rate. These kids were failing because they were mismatched because of well-intended people, in my opinion, like yourself and like admissions officers who say, oh, these poor kids are underrepresented. I'm going to lower my criteria, get them into my school, then they get their brains kicked in, and they're all mad, and they're all angry, and they blame the white man, Doctor. That's what's going on here. And one of my friends who teaches at school said, I feel like I'm running almost a criminal enterprise by admitting kids who I know cannot do the work.
Okay, let me give you a counter-argument.
Sure.
Let's take the absolute best and the brightest Latino or African-American student who can compete at those schools but end up going to community college, CSU, they're more likely not to transfer or to graduate. If they go to the UC school, they're going to be in a much better environment. They're going to have a much better opportunity, and they will graduate. I am saying allow the best and the brightest to compete with the best and the brightest at all levels. Don't take somebody that's not qualified.
No. What you're saying, allow the best and the brightest to compete, but as long as we use race as a criterion, as a factor. That's what you're saying, Doctor.
I'm saying to allow the UCs to go after and recruit them. Right now, they can't. Okay, give you another example.
Why should they go out and recruit people who are not qualified to do the work?
I'm not saying that.
You apply. You apply.
Those
people don't recruit you. You apply. If you have the grades and the stats, you apply. If you can get in, fine. If you don't have a right to be at a school that you're not qualified to because you're black and you're brown.
Well, I mean, obviously we can agree to disagree, but I think that these kids need to be recruited. I think they need to have.
If they drop out at a higher rate, what have you done other than damage their psyche and make them angry, Doctor?
No, I don't think that's the case.
Explain to me why Villaraigosa flunks the California bar 4 times after having gone to UCLA, bragging about me being a, quote, proud recipient of affirmative action, end of quote. Isn't that not supposed to be that way?
I can't explain that. I can tell you my personal story.
Let's hear it.
Okay. First in my family to graduate from college. Went to community college, went to Cal State Fullerton. I was accepted to Indiana University School of Optometry. And the only reason why I chose Indiana University School of Optometry is because they had a program because they were trying to recruit minorities to that school.
Mm-hmm. And Doctor, one quick thing. If they didn't have that program, what would have happened to you? Would you be working in the deep fry at McDonald's? Would you be driving a truck right now, Doctor?
It would have been very difficult for me to get a loan. It would have been very difficult for me to go to college. And I was given the opportunity, graduated, passed all 3 sets of my national boards, went back to the exact same community that I grew up in, providing health care to the most neediest and take Medi-Cal patients, and ran for the state assembly, ran for the state senate. So I consider myself extremely successful because I was given an opportunity that I otherwise wouldn't have had.
And Doctor, it's a wonderful story, and I'm happy you did well, but let me tell you this. The black middle class grew faster from 1940 to 1970 than it did afterwards. And during that period of time, there was no race-based preferences. Explain.
I mean, it's obviously that we're both disagreeing on this.
We sure are.
Yeah, we definitely are disagreeing.
We definitely do. Doesn't make you a bad guy. I don't think you're a bad guy at all. I think you're with the best of intentions, and that's the problem. It's because you do it with the best of intentions that you guys get away with it. If I thought you were evil and racist and demeaning, it would be easier to fight this. But it's not. You do it with the best of intentions. You're just dead wrong, Senator. I cannot tell you how dead wrong you are. You are making things worse, not better, making things worse.
Well, I guess we can both agree to disagree, but ultimately it's the voters that are going to make that decision. And if
they already did, now you want to repeal it. They did it in 1996. They said hell no to this, and now you want to do it again. Blows my mind.
But the voters can change their mind.
They can.
The voters have a choice.
And what makes you think they want to change? What is the study that shows the voters are now fed up and they want to use race again? Where's the evidence at all that California is upset about it? They're upset about a lot of things. I haven't heard anybody say, let's bring back race-based preferences.
Well, let's put that up for a vote. Let's see what the voters think.
And let's do that.
And maybe I could be wrong, and maybe it doesn't pass, and then I'll be satisfied.
Senator Dr. Ed Hernandez, Doctor, thank you very much for coming on. You were a good sport.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
Thank you very much.